something more positive. And I promise not to get too Dr. Phil on you. We want to talk about your first marriage and your second marriage. So what is a challenge that is... So what is a challenge that has happened in your life that has actually led to something more positive now? Okay, if you want to come up to the microphone, please. You ready?
I had, needless to say, an incredibly difficult pregnancy, life-threatening, and as a result, obviously having a beautiful son who's now 6 and in grade 1.
And what's his name?
Anderson.
Anderson. Cheers to Anderson and his mom. Can you come up to the front? Thank you for sharing. And so when you're committed to the outcome, speaking of marriage, if you're not committed, every fight is going to drive you crazy. But if you are committed, okay, I'll take it for the team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy. Okay, I'm looking for another volunteer that wants to talk about a challenge, maybe even a current challenge, well, maybe, or a past challenge, that has led to something positive in your life right now. Anybody? Okay, if you want to come up to the, over here, please. Microphone right there. Yeah, deep breathe. Good for you. Dana.
Right after I became a teacher, I had a life-threatening accident, and I was off for 10 years, having surgeries, 15 or 16 surgeries. And now I'm back teaching, and I'm student success this year, and I love it.
It's amazing.
It's great.
Round of applause for Dana. That's excellent. If you want to come to the front, I'll give you a book. See, when we're in the midst of a challenge, we forget the challenges that we've overcome. And that's a really important role we can play for, congratulations, and 2 challenges, really. That's a really important role that we need to play for our students, because when they're in it, and when we're in it, no matter if it's traffic or something big like we've just heard, it feels like it's going to go on forever. It's like the thing about stress. It's like a moment in time. Like when you get a text or an email and you think, oh my God, we go from 0 to 6, I'm fired, I'm homeless, whatever it is. That in fact, it's small. And if you're an overachiever, and I know in this room, there are room filled with overachievers, success, overachievers, that you're going to go from whatever the stressor is to something huge. And that's the way our brain works, actually. Our brain is the same as the brain of a reptile. Isn't that wonderful? And so when we're under stress, we're in the bottom. We're in the basement of our brain. We're in the amygdala. We're in the limbic system. And when we're thinking straight, you know when you reread an email and you miss like 7 words that said everything's fine, but you only got the like, you're in trouble, all of that. When you go back and you reread it, you're like, oh, everything's fine. Because your cerebral cortex, the penthouse of our brain, is working. But because of the fight or flight, everything's like a tiger that's going to get you. And somebody could be right beside you and saying, you're just fine. And you're like, no, it's not going to work out. Everything's going to be terrible. I can't believe I just said that response. Because we're in the basement of our brain. So that's why when we talk about challenge now, it's important to really surround ourselves of reminders of sanity. And that's why our screensavers should say breathe. And that's why you should think twice about whatever your password is. Don't shout it out, but it could be something like a nice word, and so that you're putting that in your brain every time you check into whatever it is. So challenge is reminding us that stress is an opportunity for improvement. Do we have any runners in the room? Okay, so we have more than that, I'm sure. Are any of the exercise or even education for the runners? When you first run, you're lucky to get through a mile, but you don't run a mile for the rest of your life. That you build up, whether it be 10 miles or a marathon or whatever it is. The whole idea is that we're going up and down from the basement of our brain to our penthouse. In the same way, when we run, we're going to go longer, faster, harder. So you want to remember that stress is like money. It's the price we have to pay to get to Arizona or Florida or the Caribbean. I have no idea where you're going at Christmas, but I'm coming. So all things are difficult. before they're easy. And I have a feeling that in this room, we have some adrenaline junkies that don't like it too easy, that actually invite difficult. But when it shows up at your door, you're like, you're at the wrong door. They're not. You invite them. And it's the whole idea that we think about ourselves, we think about our students. They're doing math. But miss, why do I have to do math? We have calculators. No, they have cell phones. Miss, why do I have to do this? We have that. Because so often when we're in challenge, when it's difficult on the way to easy, we forget that it is preparation for greatness. And our job as a teacher is not to make it easy for our students. We make it hard. I'm friendly, but I'm not your friend. I make it hard for them, but I support them. I make it encouraging. I give them feedback. But half the time our students probably don't know why they're doing what they're doing. Just like half the time, we don't know why we're doing what we're doing. Until that baby's born, until 10 years after recovery, until you get to that second marriage, whatever it is, that all things are difficult before they're easy.